Call this meeting to order. Would you please stand with us while Dane Smith, Jarrett Gentry, Ashley Ritter, Carly Colombi, and Tony White lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Would you please bear with us for a moment of silence? Thank you. Approval of consent agenda, or the agenda, excuse me.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, let me know by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. Consent agenda.
Move to approve.
A second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, let it know, you know by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It passes. Okay, let's see. I got off. Yeah, go ahead. New principles, introduction to new principles.
Okay, next on the agenda is the introduction of new principles. As everyone, I assume, is aware that we're building two new middle schools, one at Oakland and the other in Buchanan. It's called Whitworth Buchanan Middle School. Each of those schools will accommodate 1,000 students. And I'm pleased tonight to introduce the two principals of those schools. And I'd ask if you guys want to step up and say a few words, you certainly can do that. If you don't, you don't have to. Let that be your call. Anyway, the principal of the new Oakland Middle School is Sandra Eaton. Sandra's currently assistant principal at Oakland High School. Congratulations, Sandra. And Whitworth Buchanan, the new principal there, currently serves as assistant principal of Vernon High School. He's been with the system many years and very capable, as is Sandra. Avy Seymour. Avy. She declines the opportunity to speak. But she is going to be a grandmother for the first time tomorrow, right? Isn't that right?
Oh, great.
All right. Awesome. Congratulations to each of you. I know you guys do a great job.
Spotlight on education. Let's go.
Yay. Lascassas Elementary School will be highlighting their new outdoor classroom that was built with funds acquired from Patty here. How you say your last name? Scalzo. And Pat, as they won the Box Tots for Education program from General Mills, Ms. Scalzo, you had children in two Rutherford County schools, was able to get the funds divided between Lascassas and McFadden. Remember it well. Thank you so much, Ms. Scalzo. So who's taking charge here? There you go.
I'm going to pretty much let them do the presentation. I teach with Mr. Duke at Lascassas and have been in on the building of the outdoor classroom from the beginning. And so I was excited to get out, and the children have each written up a presentation to share with you a few of the things that we've been using the outdoor classroom for.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Carly Colomb. After a long wait, our new outdoor classroom was finally completed this fall. A nice lady named Patty Scalzo won $25,000 for our school, and our principal, Mr. Duke, wanted all the students of Lascassas to learn but to still have fun. So he decided to build an outdoor classroom. Our school decided to celebrate. The whole school came out to enjoy the ribbon cutting for the outdoor classroom. Mr. Duke asked Miss Scalzo to come back and cut the ribbon for the grand opening. The Lascassas choir sang the school song to Miss Scalzo, and then she cut the ribbon. Everyone clapped and cheered. I know that everyone will enjoy the outdoor classroom for years to come.
Good evening. My name is Jared Gentry. We are so excited about our new outdoor classroom and all it will offer our school. Now that we have a beautiful building, we also want to make sure the grounds around the building are beautiful as well. Last spring on Earth Day, a tulip popular tree was given to our school. The tree was planted near the outdoor classroom. We thought this area would make a great place to show off some of Tennessee's natural beauties too. So our class decided to plant some iris bulbs around the tree. A teacher at our school named Miss Mills is an iris expert. She came and taught us all about irises and showed us how to plant them correctly. Everyone in our class had a lot of fun picking and just the right bulb to and plant, putting your name in the ground by it. I think it is extra cool because now all the ladybugs can find a wonderful home in our Tennessee garden. This spring we will go and check on our iris plants. We get to check on their growth and see what color blooms each will have. I can't wait to see my iris and take it home to show my mom.
Good evening. My name is Ashley Ritter. I'm here tonight to tell you how excited we are at Las Casas about our new outdoor classroom. We have used that classroom many times since it opened this fall, but I am here to tell you how we used it as a reward for our good behavior. The fourth grade teachers rewarded us 6 weeks for our good behavior by allowing us to join our lunch in the outdoor classroom. It was so much fun to be outdoors for lunch. I think this simple idea may encourage other students to improve their behavior so they too can enjoy lunch outdoors rather than in the cafeteria. It was like going on a huge picnic. My classmates and I are very excited to have such a neat place to enjoy special events and have a special place for outdoor learning. I am excited to see how we get to use the outdoor classroom again this spring.
Good evening, my name is Bain Smith. Another way our class has used the outdoor classroom is for our science lessons. One day we went outside to the outdoor classroom to work in our science journals. We had to write about what animals lived on the land before school was built and what animals live there today. We also had to find evidence to put in our science journals of how living things are all around our school. Our outdoor classroom allowed us to get outside and experience nature in our learning. I hope to have many more opportunities to have class outside.
Good evening, my name is Tony White. The front of our new outdoor classroom looks similar to a stage in a theater, so our class decided to perform a historical play. We had to bring costumes and other stuff to look like the people we played. Most of the boys had mustaches and the Indians had marks on their faces. We also had to make stuff. We made a brown paper ship for the crew and cardboard guns for the hunter. I was the first character to talk because I was Leif Erikson. We also had a Christopher Columbus sing, so we needed a king and queen for our plays, as well as our own photographer. Our play was a great success, and I hope we can do more plays in the future.
Thank you again for having us here tonight.
This is what it's all about, folks. These are the best kind of spotlights we have. This is the best part of our job, is sitting here watching these kids do things and work and work with our school system. They are the leaders of tomorrow. You remember that. Y'all are the leaders of tomorrow. One of you may be sitting right there, hopefully. No, I'm just joking.
Let me talk to you first. First of all, I think thanks are in order to Ms. Scalzo. We appreciate what you've done to make this possible. I know everybody's nodding. I think there's any way to collect enough box tops to build an addition at Eagleville. She said she'd try. Anyway, again, thank you. It's pretty remarkable. I was at it last week and visited Mr. Duke, and I don't even think we saw the outdoor classroom, so I'm going to try to get out there in the next few days and see that. Thank you.
Very impressive.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
Well, we've thanked the parents, we've thanked Ms. Calzo. Can I we thank the students, we thank Ms. Calzo. I want to thank the parents. I enjoyed watching your smiles as much as I did the smiles of these children, because we take pride in these young folks and the effort that it takes to getting them here. So you all come back, okay?
Ms. Blair?
We don't bite.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Ms. Blair?
You can go on the website to RCTV, and you can find out when you're going to be on television also.
Anyone else? Thank you. Thanks again. Next item, visitors. So we have 2 visitors tonight. Mayor Toon, remember you have 3 minutes.
I'll be as quick as I can. I'd like to thank the board for allowing me my 3 minutes, and I need to recruit these scholars. They'll make my job a lot easier. But thank y'all for allowing me to speak. As mayor of Eagleville, several times a month I'm in the same situation as y'all are here tonight, and listening to people's wants and needs. And of course, the difficult part is deciding what is a want and what is a need. All of us have wants, but needs are important. And I want to just speak briefly about a need that I think most of y'all are aware of for the city of Eagleville, Eagleville School, the addition there. I'm here on behalf of the citizens of Eagleville, the parents, the teachers, the students, to plead for y'all's support in supporting the addition to Eagleville School. Despite there's no auditorium, our labs are in portables with no running water. Our students still excel in test scores. To my knowledge, if there was a chemical burn, chemicals got in one of the students' eyes, there's no way out there in the portables to get first aid. I'm not going to get real heavy into safety about the portables. Per capita, we've got more portables than any other school in the county, as far as I know. Over half of our high school students are in portables. As far as efficiency, Ms. Holton, our principal, if she does her job correctly, monitoring the classrooms, it takes her 2 hours to visit the portables. Where in a standalone building, she can walk down through, look through the windows, poke her head in the door and keep walking. Again, I'm not going to take a lot of your time. As I say, I sit in y'all's position several times a month, and we'll be there tomorrow night and the next night too. I'm supposed to be there right now, but I've got somebody taking my place. But I'm just we need these additions to Eagleville School, and I'm just asking for your support.
Thank you, Mayor Toon.
Thank you.
Commissioner Williams?
Well, I'll be a little briefer on this. When we all know the needs and safety issues and all the things that have gone on with that. So without going through with all of those, then we get down to the money. And the money is a big obstacle in everything that we try to do. And the main reason that I wanted to come tonight to let you know is that I will take an aggressive position with the county commission, and I don't know that we have the support that's needed for that, but there is support up there. I've chatted with several people about this, but then it all gets down to dollars and cents at some point. But just so that, as in the past, the different issues that we've had that have come up, that with the two middle schools and the renovation of the central school that I supported strongly, that I would hope that y'all could support this and this, see where, give us a chance to see if we can get with the Budget Committee and with Mayor Burgess and several people and find the necessary funds to do this through various sources, and to give us an opportunity to go look at that. If y'all would approve this, I will make an effort to get all that done. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Williams. Anyone have any questions? Thank you both. Number 9, old business.
Well, we had a old businesses discussion on Eagleville School classroom and auditorium additions, and we spent a considerable amount of time last night discussing the addition at Eagleville. The addition itself will be based on preliminary numbers. We certainly hadn't bid it. It would be, there are 2 separate phases. The total cost would be roughly $8 million. If we broke it down in 2 phases, phase 1 would be 5.1 million, phase 2, 2.7 million, or vice versa, and $208,000 additional dollars needed to renovate the cafeteria. Mr. Doris Jernigan asked me to pursue coming forward with recommendations, so I spent, Mr. Sandvig and I spent about, 45 minutes with Mayor Burgess and Finance Director Lisa Nolan today to talk about the feasibility of doing this addition. Now, in advance of discussing that, I want to say that as part of our building program as it currently exists, we're scheduled to open, to have completed that Eagleville High School addition by August of 2012. Now, even if we proceeded tonight, if my calculations are right, with changing or modifying this plan, I think the earliest we would get it finished would be August of 2011, which will be a year in advance of that. Now, in my discussions, there's been a lot of information that's kind of percolated around with respect to how we could actually finance that. And I know we're not ultimately the funding agent. However, it's crucial to me that we have a good relationship and a good rapport, one with the commission and also the county mayor. And I didn't want to put him in connection with my recommendation in a position where he couldn't support that recommendation. Now, no one has championed getting rid of portables any more than I have. And I don't want to pat myself on the back, but that's been my MO since the first year. And we've been very successful in doing that. Also, in conjunction with Rhonda Holden, I've got the board to put this on that building plan. So if in a few minutes I say I can't support this out of debt service, don't think it's that I don't support Eagleville. I'm in a bit of a precarious situation. But the mayor today basically said, as much as he'd like to, and Jeff, I want you to jump in here at any time, Mr. Samuel, that there's no, given the fact that the school system is bringing on 3 schools next year, that our contribution to retirement is going to be an additional $3.5 million, that we're going to need multiple buses, given the fact that we're opening all these new schools. He doesn't see any way, and also given the fact that the property sales tax is down considerably, sales tax, general purpose sales tax is down. He's very, very, very concerned that we can, 1, make our budget work, and 2, they can make County General's budget work. And he does not, nor does Lisa Nolan, feel at all comfortable with trying to tap into debt service for additional funding, knowing that they may have to use that money, one, for the school's operational budget, and also to make county general work. And he and I basically stood arm in arm after that conversation to say it would be almost impossible for us to borrow that money through any kind of debt service, right, Jeff? And fund this project. Now, there's not any other, we talked about that 5 cents, that capital improvement money. And we use that for what? Roof repairs, completing principal request. And I was told by one commissioner a while ago that we better not touch that 5 cents. It's just a real bleak picture with respect to getting any money to fund the project. I mean, granted, I'd like to do it, but I don't see how, we can kind of contradict what the mayor's and I are both saying. I don't want to make him be the bad guy either. It's just, he did say this. He said that next spring, in the spring of 2011, he would ask for that money so we could proceed with construction. And again, that's a year later than we would be able to do it if we pursued it tonight. So if anybody wants to have any discussion with respect to what I've said so far, or if you want a recommendation from me, let me know. Can I ask one thing? Ms. Sammy, do you want to say anything that I've left out?
I think you covered it, Mr. Gill. I could expand on debt service if you want me to.
Y'all want to hear anything on debt service or what?
Somebody may, but I've heard so much of it. Mr. Blair?
Well, I tell you what, I'm getting ready to make a motion, so maybe Doris may want to have a say.
What we do, it's my understanding of the normal process, we make a recommendation. It then goes to Health Ed, then it goes to the Budget Committee, then it goes to the full commission. This is no different, is it?
No, sir. The difference, can I comment on that?
Yes.
The difference might be in that one commissioner told me earlier that he felt like the integrity of the process was coming into question. When we come down and ask that they tap into debt service, that we had a plan in place, that what we've done was basically do business a little bit different than we've ever done. And his comment was that over 25 years of building integrity and relationship with the school board and how we did business with respect to finances was coming into question if we came down and asked for that money. He went further, and first of all, I appreciate all Ronald Williams has done for the school system. He always support us, and I appreciate that, which makes this extremely hard for me to say we need to wait a year. But his take on it was there's no support for it, and he thought it was a little underhanded for us to do it.
One more comment, Rick. Mr. Gill touched on it, we talked about it, and I mentioned it last night. Personally, I have a real concern about funding our budget for the coming school year. And we've not really started working on that and presenting it, getting it in a position to present it to the commission. Would it be, I guess in my opinion, I would like to see us delay this until after our budget is prepared, and then taking whatever approach we deem to take as it relates to these repairs to Eagleville School, and then we need to also address the repairs to Campus School.
Well, I think the director of schools has made a recommendation. We need to deal with the recommendation first. If there's, I'd say we either have a motion to vote to accept it or not accept it, and then from there we go into what else. Mr. Blair's got a recommendation or a motion, so I think we need to deal with his recommendation first. So, does anybody have anything on his recommendation? Well, it said a recommendation. I don't know that, it's just a pleasure of the board. 6 or 1, that's the other. If nobody has anything to say, then we'll just let Mr. Blair. That'd be fine. Mr. Blair.
Of course, as you said, we've had quite a bit of discussion yesterday evening. I think we've all talked to different people, pardon me, and we've gotten different opinions from different individuals in our government. I think it's clear that this is certainly a need. It's something that they really have to have. The only middle and high school in the county that doesn't have an auditorium, and of course everybody knows about the portables. So with what Commissioner Williams expressed, and especially with the support that he's given us over the years, I would like to make a motion that we bring to the commission the first phase of the Eagleville addition.
I'll second it for discussion purposes.
Any discussion? Terry?
I guess, let me just say it right off, I'm in favor of any of these projects 99% of the time. The concern I have about this one is, well, I got two concerns. I brought it up last night. The campus school obligation that we've got. I haven't figured out where the money's coming from on that yet. And secondly, I go back to the obligation we made last year. Well, made it 2 years ago to our classified staff. The 2% increase we were supposed to give them last year that we couldn't fulfill. And I hate this, you know, to me it sounds like we're going to go through the same situation again this year, which I think it's an obligation we made to the people, and we ought to fulfill it. So I can't see doing this project before we take care of that situation. And lastly, another concern I have is just listening to Mr. Gill off and on, is maintain the positions we've got. And I hate to see us go off on this issue here and end up start cutting staff. And that's a concern I have. So if staff out here can assure me that that's not going to happen, I'll go along with it. You know, working on these projects.
Well, our long-range building plan, and if I understand Mr. Blair correctly, he's proposing to build the auditorium and those associated classrooms in phase one, where our plan that we had approved some time ago has the 10 classrooms, or the 10 classrooms is phase one. So, and this auditorium would then come at some later date, if I'm looking at our plan correctly.
I don't know that we've actually determined what goes first. I think his motion was that we do this first, apparently come back and do this later.
Well, this, if I'm reading it correctly, it says March 11, design March 11, construction August 11, in the year 2011-2012. Eagleville High 12 classroom addition, and then the footnote at the bottom, the Eagleville addition has been separated into two projects. The core project, 5.5 to 6.5, would be postponed to a later year. The classrooms solve the dilemma of portables. It's not all you want, but if we're going to do something, I'd rather go for at the lesser figure, which might be more acceptable to the commission. But that would require a different motion.
Well, we'll have to vote on Mr. Blair's
He
motion.
would amend his.
Mark?
I agree with everything Harry said, and with everything Terry said, and everything Dora said. For me, though, it comes down to, do we have a chance to get this project through? Now, I'm hearing different reports about what the commission might or might not do, and I don't know what they might or might not do. And no, it's not a good year to do this economically, but I'm a little puzzled is how this would be an insult somehow to the commission if we ask them to add on to a school. We ask them for money all the time. Now, yeah, internally, we might say that this process has been unusual, and it would represent a change to our building plan. There's no doubt about that. But is it worth making the request? And like Commissioner Williams said, let them decide. If they want to say no, they can say no.
I think the insult, Mark, is that, you know, there's been a process in place for years. You know, when we do school construction, they go to bond market, they borrow money, they set dates when they're gonna go to bond market, and they kind of act on a plan that's in place. Never, ever have they gone to borrow against debt service to do any kind of construction, which is what has set off who a person I consider probably have as much or more respect for anybody on the commission. And just thought it was a little, I'm trying to think of the exact word he used. Didn't like it, didn't think it was laced with integrity and that we shouldn't have done this. It's just not the way you do business.
But we're not telling them how to raise the money, are we?
Well, but there's an
We're making
implication
a
that
request.
we get it through debt service.
Pardon?
Is that the implication is that we use debt service. And the mayor said there's no intention to go to bond market. It's election year, they're not going to raise property taxes. People can't absorb any kind of additional property tax increase. We went back last year and borrowed money, you know, to build the schools. We're going to open the 3 schools. And the only possible source would be debt service. And as a last resort or a rainy day, for a really, really rainy day, a stormy day, we'd use debt service for operational budget or something else. And he said, like, they've got needs down there that they may not be able to fund, that they may have to look at debt service. I think that's what spooked him the most. But at any rate, you make a good point, too.
Any other questions? Jeff, can you answer Mr. Hodges' question about whether there's a possibility of losing staff? Can you answer that question?
We've done a considerable amount of discussion on the budget this year. And, you know, right now, we've got, as I said, we got 3 schools to open. We've got 130 teaching position budgeted. We've already, matter of fact, we've got a meeting tomorrow morning with high school principals to try to find a way to whittle down that 130 positions. We need to get it down as many as 20 to 30 teachers just to make the school open, just to open schools. We got to find ways, well, I've already told Ms. Snell, we got to find a way to whittle down the number of buses that we need. There's no whittling down retirement contribution. We also have an issue, you know, we've even had discussions about cutting back 2 or 3 hours in lieu of laying any EAs off or cafeteria workers, to go back and cut 2 or 3 hours off each one of their schedules, and maybe in an effort to save some money there. I mean, we're trying to do some creative things short of laying people off. We do not want to do that. But I think anything's out there right now with regards to how we make this budget make. And, you know, and each year when we get up here, we kind of moan and groan about how tough it's going to be budget-wise. But I don't know that we'll ever have, in all the years you've been here, Jeff, if it's ever been like it's going to be this year, period, making our budget work. You want to comment on that? Yeah, sure.
Just one of the things I mentioned in our meeting briefly today was the level we're looking at trying to shave positions. Some of the your major subject area classes, we are looking at, can we not hire a position here, a position there, because with the conversion of Central and the 2 new middle schools and growth in that 2% range, we are going to, these positions we're talking are primarily classroom positions, your core subjects. And forgive me, the years kind of run together, but when we faced, at the time we thought major budget woes several years ago, we had to resort to staff. That is where 80% of the GPS budget comes. there just aren't that many other areas we can cut, and our goal is to not, to do it through other ways. But
We have talked about, for example, the school technology supervisors, cutting 3 or 4 more of those and reallocating positions where everybody's got some coverage and maybe putting some of those guys back in the classroom. We had to do something pretty dramatic with Spectrum. And I think we're just starting to scratch the surface. If every time I talk to Lisa and Ernest, Mayor Burgess, I realize how serious this really is. So, whether we send this on is a separate issue, I guess, but I think in its own way, it's connected to whether we can make our budget work.
on the debt service issue, in governmental accounting, it is handled differently than on the private side. Where there is a little latitude is in principal and interest payments. We don't have that 8 million or 5 million out there that's available. We had to scrape the bottom of the barrel to cover the changes that we had to make in the middle schools. Hit about every source we could think of in the building program just to do that.
Jeff, this year it's going to be reappraisal. What is the projections? With the reappraisals, wouldn't that normally be, there would be more dollars there because of the reappraisals?
By statute, have to drop back to the certified rate. Even if we went from the last time reappraisal year, we went from a 280 rate to a 234 rate because you have to drop back to that certified rate that generates the same dollars, total dollars in property tax. So the commission or a city council or whatever has to go in and then take an action. Again, going back to what it was 4 years ago, it dropped from 280 to 234. The commission would have to have voted to go back to that 280 rate. Otherwise, by statute, it drops to the new certified rate.
Well, 4 years ago, when that occurred, did we have more funds at that time or less?
The economy was doing well, so yes, and the commission, we did wind up with more. The commission did not drop totally back that time. I think 4 years before that, they dropped totally back to the certified rate. We had layoffs that year. That was the harsh reality.
Mr. Hodge, you have a question?
Yeah, yes, I know you, with these new middle schools coming on and all that, I know you probably started working on the budget, probably got some kind of figures, rough figures, basically where we're at right now. What are we looking at?
For next year, actually, because of trying to have better numbers, each month I wait, my numbers are a little better. I waited until January payrolls hit. And now I'm getting into plugging and meeting the other assistants on fine-tuning these positions. So no, I don't have that number at this point.
You don't have no?
No, sir. I'm trying to get the best numbers I can get. And one of the big pieces we have is our medical insurance. With the changes that hit January, February, I need to wait until February to even evaluate that piece. So I'm working on it, but I'm not there yet. I'm sorry.
But just going around this thing. How do you know, if you don't have any figures, how do you know we may have a possibility of cutting personnel?
Oh, well, each year as I go through this process, and we wind up, okay, as meeting with Mr. Gill, the assistants, these are reasonable increases. When we add our reasonable increases up, they add up so much more quickly than you'd think. We know we have the 3 new schools.
How much, not to interrupt, how much does that increase?
The plan was about 63 positions in order to do that, because fortunately we do have the feeder schools, the current central staff. So, and you probably 50-some thousand per position. By the time you include all of the benefits, we will have more experienced teachers we're moving. Our retirement for certified went from 6.42% to 9.05. 3.5 million, as Mr. Gill said. So those two pieces alone, we are probably looking in the $6 million range. And that doesn't address
Maybe
growth.
the easiest way to answer his question is, we're funded through sales tax, property tax, and revenue from the state. There's not any indication, he's gonna try to hold the line on the BEP, right?
Right.
All that said, I mean, how much more revenue you think we can anticipate versus what we got last year versus the expenses?
Until we see the BEP, how they're actually proposing to fund it, anything I would say is a guess. We are probably, current year, looking at $1.5 million to a $2 million shortfall in the sales tax. This is that the schools get. So there is an excellent chance we will be going into next year's budget with a lower sales tax number budgeted than we had budgeted this year.
But I guess in a nutshell, basically, your reappraisals now ain't gonna cover your increases.
And if they drop back to the certified rate, that really even kind of wipes out any growth in the property tax that you would naturally have from year to year when things are going well. That's kind of the buffer we have in those other 3 years. So.
Any other questions?
I have a quick one. I know the answer, I think, but I guess the public needs to know any stimulus money that could be, this could be applied, or that it would be,
No,
hold
sir.
on, that would be used for other things. We could free up some of that money that otherwise would.
Do that.
No.
Okay.
We of course will be looking at whatever allowable expenditures we have within stimulus to offset some of this, but it's, by the nature of the restrictions on those monies, it will be minor.
Mr. Blair?
When we were talking about the middle schools, of course, they're needed, no doubt about it. But some of the conversations we're having here, you know, we had at that time too. And I understand, you know, we continue to be under constraints. But again, we've had a county commissioner stand before us and ask us to give him and us an opportunity to see if this project can go, because it is so badly needed. And I would still ask this board to support it.
Any other discussion? Call the roll, Ms. Michaels. Would you restate the motion?
I will. Motion was made by Mr. Blair, seconded by Mr. Kelly, that we bring to the commission the first phase of the new addition.
First phase is this $6.5 million, correct?
Yeah, the auditorium and classroom section.
Mr. Blair?
Yes.
Mr. Donald Jernigan?
Yes.
Mr. Hodge?
No.
Mr. Doris Jernigan?
No.
Dr. Burns?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Mr. Wise?
No.
Motion carries.
We're ready for number 10. Special courses request. The instruction department is requesting permission to make an application to offer credit for special courses under the following guidelines. Rule 520-1-3-.05-2A. Local school systems may offer special courses not listed in 520-1-3-.06 of an experimental basis. Commissioner of Education must approve each course in advance each year. After 3 years, the course may become a permanent part of the local school program upon approval by the State Board of Education.
Mr. Gill, why don't you just
Yeah,
make the recommendation and not read all of those?
okay, I recommend that you approve courses to be offered, the named schools in 2010, 2011, and anyone wants to read that, it's online on our webpage.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries.
11, courses offered for credits in grades 9 through 12. Board of Education Policy 4.201 states in part, a listing of courses offered for credit in grades 9 through 12 will be approved annually by the board. Note, the Tennessee Department of Education has notified systems that a new list of course titles and course numbers will not be released until at least February the 15th. There may be some course name adjustments when updated state information is received. Recommend that you approve the list of courses for credit in Rutherford County, grades 9 through 12 in 2010-11 as presented.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes.
12, proposal to participate in class size reduction research study. Beginning in 1985, the Tennessee conducted a Project STAR study that examined how class size influenced student performance in grades K through 3 and beyond. Rutherford County Schools has been approached by Heroes Incorporated about our willingness to participate in another class size study for grades 4 and 5 beginning in the 2010-2011 school year. U.S. Department of Education grant through Heroes will provide funding for the study over a 2-year period with grade 4 the first year and grade 5 the second year. The plan is to compare student performance for students in the state-mandated pupil-teacher ratio of 1 to 25 to other classes with 14 to 17 enrolled students. The grant will cover teacher salaries and benefits needed to reduce the pupil-teacher ratio would be covered by state grant. Cost for additional classroom space will be paid through the grant. Technology and teacher materials needed to mirror resources in the traditional 1 to 25 ratio classes will be covered by the grant. Mobile and Baldwin counties in Alabama have already signed to participate in the study. The 2 school systems in Tennessee are being considered. I recommend that you approve Rutherford County Schools' participation in the Heroes Incorporated class size study for 2010-11 and 2011-12 school year with additional costs required to implement and administer the study provided by the Heroes grant.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion?
As I mentioned last evening, it's a compliment that our system was actually chosen. So it really speaks well for us.
Really be a compliment if they'd build buildings instead of buy portables, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that's right. Got some.
Any other discussion? All in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
13, facilities. Oakland Middle School architectural fee. Binkley Garcia Architecture has submitted a request for a fee increase on Oakland Middle School due to changes in documents initiated by the permitting process. The increase also covers the consulting engineering firms that were involved in the changes. Rutherford County School Board forwarded a request for funding to the Rutherford County Commission for these costs, and it was approved. Total extra design fee cost for Oakland Middle School is $73,705. I recommend that you approve the request from Binkley Garcia in the amount of $73,705 for design changes to Oakland Middle School.
And you've heard the recommendation.
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
B, Oakland Middle School change orders. R.G. Anderson Construction has submitted change order number 1 and change order number 2 for changes to work on Oakland Middle School due to the permitting process. Change order number 1 is the amount of $128,245, and change order 2 is in the amount of $171,520. Rutherford County School Board has previously approved the itemized list of the changes and forwarded them to the County Commission for approval. Commission has approved the funding for these changes. Recommend that you approve change order number 1 in the amount of $128,245 and change order number 2 in the amount of $171,520, totaling $299,765 for extra work on Oakland Middle School to R.G. Anderson.
Heard the recommendation. Have a motion.
So moved.
A second.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
C, Whitworth Buchanan Middle School architectural fee. Makeley Garcia submitted a request for a fee increase on Whitworth Buchanan Middle School due to changes in documents initiated by the permitting process. The increases also covered the consulting engineering firms that were involved in the changes. Rutherford County School Board forwarded a request for funding to the Rutherford County Commission for this cost, and it was approved. Total extra design fee cost is $77,265. Recommended we approve the request from Binkley Garcia Architecture in the amount of $77,265 for design changes to Whitworth Buchanan Middle School.
So moved.
Second. Second. Any discussion?
I have a question. With this, the turn lanes, when are they scheduled to be? This is not, they're not included in this, are they?
I think part of them are, the turn lanes are included in this, but we had a contingency fund that was used up during the process of the change order. So
Okay.
it is included.
But they will come about as a result of this fund. Okay.
Any more discussion? All in favor of the motion, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
D, Whitworth Buchanan Middle School change order. Robert Biscuit Construction submitted change order number 1 for changes to work on Whitworth Buchanan Middle School due to the permitting process. Change order 1 is the amount of $150,000. Rutherford County School Board has seen an itemized list of the changes and forwarded them along to the Rutherford County Commission for approval and funding. The Commission has approved the funding for these changes. Recommend that we approve change order 1 in the amount of $150,000 for extra work at Whitworth Buchanan for Robert Biskin.
You've heard the recommendation. Have a motion. A second.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
E, McFadden School of Excellence renovation bid. Bids were received from McFadden School of Excellence renovations at 2 p.m. on February 11, 2010 at the Central Office Boardroom from 10 construction companies. Participating companies were as follows: C.D. Steger Construction, R.G. Anderson, Robert Biskin, Commercial Industrial Construction, Barron and Dowdle Construction, George A. Clanton Construction, RCR Building Corporation, Southeast Contractors, Brad Slater Construction, and Romac. Southeast Contractor was successful with the lowest and best bid at $394,206. Recommend that you award the McFadden School of Excellence renovation project to Southeast Contractor for the lowest and best overall bid of $394,206.
So moved.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
14, financial matters. Rutherford County Schools Lighting Management System. At the October the 15, 2009 school board meeting, the following request was forwarded to the county commission: to approve the Excel Energy Group $2,337,515 proposal for occupancy sensor contingent on state approval of the System Efficient Schools Initiative grant of $741,480 and the county commission's approval of financing the $1,596,035 balance. The state has approved our grant, but the loan documents for the program will not be available for 5 to 7 months. We are asking to forward to the commission the 7-year lease purchase plan Mr. Croon's firm has prepared. The financing terms of this $2,337,515 proposal match the terms that were approved in October. This would be temporary funding until the loans to the state are ready. $741,480 energy efficient grant money, $500,000 at 0% for 7 years, $1,096,035 at 3% for 7 years. County Commission will, of course, make the final financing decision. Recommend that you request the County Commission approval for funding of $1,596,035 balance for Excel Energy Group's $2,337,515 proposal for occupancy sensors, and to consider Excel Energy Group's 7-year lease purchase plan as another funding option.
Heard the recommendation.
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
I have a question. What happens or would work start before receiving the grant?
Well, as soon as we get approval of the commission, I think the money's available right now, did Jeff?
I think the grant would be drawn down as the work is done.
Okay. So that money is already accessible.
Well, it is committed to us. Our grant has been approved.
Any further discussion?
And the 1.5 million would come from,
Mr. Karoon has proposed a lease purchase agreement. Ideally, the state is, and the state is working on loans through the state for the same terms.
and our monthly payment would be? That's okay.
Yeah, I don't have that on this PC.
Any more discussion? In favor of the motion, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
15, summer school calendar. Rutherford County will be offering a system-wide summer school program at Blackman Middle, Smyrna Middle, Laverne High, and Siegel High based upon student enrollment. A minimum enrollment of 60 students per site will be required. Recommend that you approve the 2010 Rutherford County Summer School Calendar as presented with tuition of $100 for middle grades, $100 per 1/2 credit for high school, $200 for driver ed.
Heard the recommendation, have a motion.
So moved.
A second. Second. Any discussion?
How many have we had participate over the years? Just, we anticipating certainly the minimum, I would assume here, right? On every school?
We've had, over the years, thousands and thousands, but some of the high schools, we draw as many as 800 each year in high
Each
school.
year.
Considerably less in middle school.
Thank
You've heard, any more discussion? All in favor, Terry?
No, go ahead.
All in favor of the motion, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. You have a question, Terry?
No, just on 16 there, I just want to raise a question.
Oh, okay.
General discussion.
Okay, go ahead.
We got this central magnet school stuff, the accepted students tonight. Just looking at this thing, 683 students, sound right? Correct?
Yes.
Just for my own sake, sometime next week or two, because I won't be able to get my mind clear on this stuff. If you can get me, I'd be interested to see how many the students actually applied from each school, okay? I know you can't tell anything from Oakland and West Canyon because they're coming from Central, those other areas. And actually, how many of them were qualified?
I think
it's
Dr. Bergen, what you gave about 2 weeks ago was just
Yeah, that shows.
Well, I mean, I'm out of those, and I need to get a copy of that. I misplaced that, I guess, but the original that originally applied, how many of them were actually qualified?
That's it.
This right here?
That's the number.
So we're taking, basically what you're telling me, everybody that applied off the list actually qualified. No, the ones, these are all the qualified.
The other list showed how many applied, and these are the ones that qualified.
Okay.
Well, no, these are the ones that qualified, are the ones that got in. These aren't there
These are
some?
the ones that got in.
That's
That's the
one.
ones that got in.
Yeah, so he's asking which ones qualified and didn't get in.
Yeah.
That's a good question.
In other words, how many qualified but didn't get in, and what schools are they?
There's some more 6th grade, there's some more, a few more 9th grade,
Well, we'll get you a spreadsheet
Yeah,
or
I'd just
something
like
on
to
that.
see
Yeah.
where, I'd like to see where they're coming from. It is,
There's
Tom,
another
got a
number
question?
Sir.
that we need, and that number is of all of the students that we accept, how many actually attend, are going to accept it when they get their letter. Because this number is the students who are accepted and meet the criteria to attend. This is not the number that will attend.
They turned it down.
You see what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
I guess
You
he's,
assume they're going to.
But they may not.
They may not,
And it
that's,
may be more this
he's,
fall.
I'm sure he's got a waiting list.
He is waiting.
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
I guess that's the point I was trying to make. If someone declines, then they'll go to the next one on the waiting list and
Right.
move along.
Yeah, but the people on the waiting list are on this list.
Yeah, well, technically, it's all a waiting list, I guess, is that the point? I mean, there are people that are ranked, I mean, until we open those doors, they show up, they're
I
on
think
the
he's
list.
saying there are people who are not reflected on this page who qualified. That's what we're trying.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yes.
You know, there was a
But
a mechanism in place, a ranking
sure.
point, you know, he went down the list, if you had this points, these points, these points, and there's some that probably qualified that are just below them.
I think that's the one that's getting the letter. I think there are a few more that he can pick up. This is the one that they extended the letters to, is my understanding. That, he released that, my understanding, that's the one that's getting the letters. That is Kansas.
Right. Any other discussion? Laura?
Anyone else? I didn't know if there was somebody else. It always seems I have something to say, doesn't it, Mark?
It's
Don't
always-
answer that question. I'm in my 8th year on the school board. It's been one of the real pleasures of my life to serve here. I am not going to seek reelection. Now seems to be the appropriate time. I'm hoping that from the 3 districts that I represent, there will be many who wish to serve. I'm giving an early notice in hopes that this gives them time to prepare and that the people will select the best person qualified. So I want to thank you all for letting me serve. I want to thank the public for giving me the opportunity to give back to the community. It's been a great trip. I hope in some ways I've been a little bit of help. So, and again, I do thank you for letting me serve.
Horace, I just got to say, I hate to see you do this, but I understand. And you're one of the finest gentlemen that I've ever met in my life. And I want you to know that that's the truth. And I appreciate you, and I take highly counsel of what you say. And I just want, from my opinion, that's what I want to say.
Well, thank you for respecting the senior member. I have been a proponent for term limits. It would just be contrary to what I believe in for me to go any further.
No, I've sat out in the audience for 3 years before I got to sit on this side of the table, and you certainly have been a mentor for me, and I can't begin to express how much I've appreciated your friendship and your wisdom, and you've been so important in my life, and thank you for serving, and I really will miss you.
Well, you got to put up with me till August now.
I appreciate your time, and I'd like to say that just because you say that you're not running, if you decide to change your mind, you still can if there's no candidates come forward. But we're still going to give you plenty of work between now and then. So you're not going to be able to slide this last.
I'm looking forward to it.
Any more discussion? All minds at ease. Meeting adjourned.